Things looking crazy, a storm on the horizon. The pressure is low, gotta get moving, put on a show. The news is all buzzing, state of alert, but we've got a plan, we're ready to work. Emergency Management Associates, we're here for the crisis, we're here for the fates. From the first sign of trouble to the all clear sign, we're on the front lines, we're one of a kind. Emergency Management Associates, we're the calm in the chaos, we're open the gates, connecting the dots and making the calls. We're picking you up when you're starting to fall. See a little fire or a rising flood, we're a well-oiled machine, we're running in the mud. From the city hall meetings to the rescue teams, turning worst case scenarios into hopeful dreams. We're training the people, stuck in the gear, we're on the team you can count on, the trouble is near. Emergency Management Associates, we're here for the crisis, we're here for the fates. From the first sign of trouble to the all clear sign, we're on the front lines, we're one of a kind. Emergency Management Associates, we're the calm in the chaos, we're open the gates, connecting the dots and making the calls. We're picking you up when you're starting to fall. It's more than a job, it's the calling you see. Prepared for the present and what's yet to be. Every second counts, we're ready to react for our communities. We're making an impact. Emergency Management Associates, we're here for the crisis, we're here for the fates. From the first sign of trouble to the all clear sign, we're on the front lines, we're one of a kind. Emergency Management Associates, we're the calm in the chaos, we're opening gates, connecting the dots and making the calls. We're picking you up when you're starting to fall. Yes, we're picking you up, we're ready to go. Let's get this show on the road. Let's do it to it, guys. Emergency Management Associates is on the air right now for you 24/7, Monday through Friday, to do what we need to do to make sure everyone is safe. That's what we're here for, to make sure everyone's safe. That's the bottom line. That's really the bottom line. That's the only time we're here, is to make sure everyone is safe. We're going to do that 7 days a week, 24/7, every day. That is our promise to you, to make sure everyone is safe, okay? Now, I don't know where that background came from here. Just give me a second. Let me get rid of that for a minute. There it goes. It's gone. Okay, guys, we're coming to you from the Area Command, 392 miles west of Kittiaque Beach, North Carolina. Guys, we appreciate you being here. We really do. It's very important that we understand what's going on. We do that Monday through Friday from anywhere from between 4 and 5 p.m. to when we're done. I'm going to start trying to change our programs to shorter time periods. I want to make sure our program is on the air for lesser time periods. We've been going upwards of 2 and 3 hours lately. That's going to come to a screeching halt for everybody. I don't want to have people coming in here wondering how long it's going to take till they can get out of here. I'm not going to do that anymore. We're going to be on the air for you every day, Monday through Friday, and hopefully we might be on the air anywhere from an hour to maybe a little over that. I'm even going to try to pare that down even shorter time periods. So that's a good thing. That's a very good thing. Now today we're going to start off this program by talking about earthquakes on the USGS map here. Okay, Let me take down our webcam, take down our EMA banner here. Let's show you earthquakes around the world here. Okay, that's our ideal spot here. Okay, now let's go up here to the North America, Alaska. Up here in Alaska, guys, here you see some earthquakes here. Okay, this is in central Alaska, east central Alaska right here. This is just a 1.3 tremor here. That just happened. All the red dots that we're going to talk about tonight are earthquakes that just happened. Down here, okay, this near Scranton, Alaska. Scranton, Alaska, guys. Where is that? See Anchorage here on the map. Scranton, Alaska is northwest of Anchorage, across the Cook Inlet here. Body of water here between eastern Alaska and western Alaska here is the Cook Inlet. This is Scranton, Alaska. This is a 2.1 minor earthquake here. 2.1 minor earthquake. Now, let's go down here further south here, right here. This is also in the Cook Inlet here. This is a 4.1 moderate earthquake here. Now, guys, it's here in the water, the Cook Inlet. This is 18 miles west of Anchor Point, Alaska. West of Anchor Point, Alaska, right over here. Okay? Nobody felt this earthquake. Nobody felt this earthquake. Why? Because nobody lives in this area. A 4.1 earthquake probably was absorbed, the waters of the shaking were absorbed by the shaking was absorbed by the waters of the ocean, by the Cook Inlet here. That's what happened. Okay? Now, more than that. Up here, we have Mount Redoubt. You don't see any earthquakes near Mount Redoubt today. That's a good thing. That's a very good thing. Okay? Let's go further south over here. There's another volcano right here. It's called Old Iliamna Volcano. Usually we have earthquakes all over this area. We don't today. Up here to the northwest, this is a 2.4 earthquake here, 52 miles, about 90 kilometers south of Kokohonok, Alaska, out here in the bush. Further to the southwest over here, this is a 1.6 tremor here. Okay? Out here southeast of the volcano here, again in the Cook Inlet. This is a 1.5 tremor. And this is a 2.2 minor earthquake. Not a bad deal, is it? Not a bad deal at all. Now, all the other earthquakes here are off the coast of the peninsula of Alaska here. All of them. Right here. This is a 3.6 small earthquake here. This is 126 miles south of Okioke, Alaska, on the Ocean Island Fault Zone. Further to the south here to the west, this is a 2.2 earthquake here, 40 miles south of Aveyah Bay, Alaska, off the coast. Further south here, this is a 2.4 earthquake here. This is 58 miles south-southeast of Sandpoint, Alaska. Sandpoint, Alaska here. Now, the thing everyone needs to know about this earthquake here. Everybody needs to know about this earthquake. This earthquake is an aftershock. This earthquake right here is an aftershock of a 7.7 earthquake that occurred here 3 years ago. 7.7 earthquake occurred here 3 years ago. And after that, a 7.8 earthquake happened as well. And also an 8.7. 8.7. As anybody remembers when we covered this earthquake, there was a small tidal wave of 3 feet high. Small tsunami wave of 3 feet high. This is a 2.3 minor earthquake here off the coast of Sandpoint, Alaska. It's an aftershock of that earthquake. Further down here to the south here, This is a 2.4 earthquake here, 88 miles south-southeast of Falls Pass, Alaska. Right next to it, this is a 2.4 earthquake, also 88 miles south-southeast of Falls Pass, Alaska. Further over here to the west, 2.4 earthquake, 89 miles southwest of Falls Pass, Alaska. This one further to the south here, it's a 2.5 earthquake, also 98 miles south of Falls Pass, Alaska. We go further to the west here, 2.3 earthquake here, southeast of Akutan, Alaska. Further to the south here, this is a 2.4 earthquake here, minor earthquake, 74 miles south-southwest of Unalaska. Unalaska, right here. Unalaska, you guys, we have a volcano here. She's holding volcanoes right here. She's holding volcanoes right here. No earthquakes around these volcanoes at all. None. This is at 2.4. Further west here, you see all kinds of minor earthquakes here. This is a 2.5. This is a 3.3 small earthquake here. Again, it's off the coast of all of these islands here. Nowhere near the islands here. It's on the Aleutian Island Fault Zone. Further to the southwest here, 2.3 earthquake here. Further to the northwest, 2.7 near Adak, Alaska. 50 miles east-southeast of Adak, Alaska. This earthquake right here, 2.2, 40 miles south of Adak, Alaska. Far enough that nobody even felt these earthquakes. Nobody's going to feel a minor earthquake. Nobody. Nobody. Small earthquakes, yes. But none of these earthquakes are anywhere near land where these earthquakes are felt at all. Not at all. Then we go down here to the Rat Islands here. This is a 2.6 minor earthquake here. The Rat Islands here, guys. This earthquake is far enough away from any landmass, and the waters of the ocean here absorb the shockwaves of this quake. Otherwise, it's just a minor earthquake out here in the water. Nobody felt it at all. So for now, Alaska is safe. How long that lasts, we don't know. This area here in Alaska is built up heavily for earthquakes. All kinds of seismic energies build up here, hold up here in Alaska. At any point in time, we may see a major earthquake happen here in Alaska. Major earthquake here in Alaska at any time. It's been at least 6 or 7 years since we've had an earthquake here, a 7.1 here in Alaska in 2019. 7.1 here near Anchorage, Alaska in 2019. It's been a while. Summer 2019. Let's go further south here. Now, let's go over here to Japan. One of my dear friends, Joe, lives here in Japan. He teaches English for a Japanese school. This earthquake here is southeast of Taitbana, Japan. 4.5 earthquake out here in the waters here, the ocean. Nobody felt this earthquake. The ocean waters absorbed the shockwaves of this quake. Nobody felt it at all. Okay? Go further down here into Indonesia here. This is a 4.7 earthquake here. 4.7 earthquake here. 138 miles northwest of Tobelo, Indonesia. I don't think anybody felt this earthquake at all here in Indonesia at all. It was off here in the ocean. Way off here in the ocean, nobody felt it at all. The ocean waters absorbed the shockwaves of this quake as well. Down here to the southwest here, this is a 5.1 large earthquake here. 5.1 earthquake here in the Celebes Sea here, 131 miles northwest of Gorontalo, Indonesia. Now, for the most part, I don't think anybody on land felt the big 5.1 earthquake. Most of the shock waves of this earthquake were felt in the water by maybe fish. If anybody on land here felt any shaking at all, they may have felt some small, minor shaking here. At all. This was a large earthquake out in the water. The ocean waters absorbed the shock waves of this quake. Okay? Now, guys, we go down here to the southeast here. Okay? Down here, we have another 4.1 earthquake here. 76 miles southeast of Bintuni, Indonesia. Okay? Guys, this was felt by anybody in this area. There are tremors here. There are minor earthquakes, all kinds of stuff going on. But there are small, tiny villages here of people. That felt this earthquake. These areas, people living here don't have much money at all. They maybe make $300 to $400 a year. When an earthquake of this magnitude of 4.1, moderate earthquake, it can do minor damage here in the United States or any other westernized country. Do moderate damage. Here in this area, because these people subsist on very low incomes and have very little of anything, this 4-point earthquake can rock their world. May not kill them, but it can destroy other things that they have here. They live in mud huts. They live in cardboard and wooden shacks, with sometimes just a tarp over the top of them to keep them safe from water. Unreal. Now, I'm backing out here. I want to show you what's going on here. USGS is only showing one earthquake here off the coast of Papua New Guinea here. This earthquake here is a 4.6 earthquake here off the coast of Papua New Guinea. 104 miles southwest of Lorengau, Papua New Guinea. This earthquake, nobody felt at all. The ocean waters absorbed the shockwaves of this quake, but look where this earthquake hit. It hit on the edge of the plate here. Hit on the edge of one of the plates here. We go further out here to the east, this time in the Solomon Islands here. This is a 4.4 earthquake here. 51 miles west-northwest of Kirakira, Solomon Islands. Look where this earthquake hit. Just barely off the coast of the island. 4.4 activity here. 4.4 energy. Moderate energy here again. Okay. Now, if we zoom in here, right now right off the top of my head, I don't see any villages at all. But here in the Solomon Islands, there are villages of people living in this area. Villages of people living all over this area. I don't know whether or not anyone felt this earthquake. There are no felt reports from this earthquake at all. This is off the coast of Kirakira's Solomon Islands here. Okay? Now, let's back this out here. We talk about this quite often during our programs here. Going over here into Tonga, Samoa, the Kermadec Islands, and even down here into New Zealand, Australia here, all of Indonesia, going up here into Taiwan, Hong Kong area, going up here into Japan. There are 7 different tectonic plates in play here. There are 7 different tectonic plates in play here. Why do I mention that? Because the tectonic plates sometimes move up to 3 inches a year. Sometimes they move up to 3 inches a year. Those 3 inches cause earthquakes all the time. They cause earthquakes all the time. Now, of course, USGS is not showing all the earthquakes here at all. They're not. 49 earthquakes just here in Indonesia alone. 49. Interesting. Because I found someone here earlier today saying that there were only 400 earthquakes worldwide. They said there were only 400 earthquakes here worldwide, which is an understatement. USGS says there are only 289 earthquakes here worldwide. That's because they don't show even half of those. They don't even show a quarter of those numbers. There's probably close to 1,200 earthquakes worldwide right now. 1,200 earthquakes worldwide. That includes tremors. That includes minor earthquakes, 2.0, 2.9. That includes small 3.0, 3.9. That includes 4.0, 4.9 moderate earthquakes. That includes 5.0 and large earthquakes. 1,200 earthquakes worldwide. USGS says there's only 268. What a joke. The 7 tectonic plates here that move 3 inches a year cause all these earthquakes. 49 earthquakes alone here in Indonesia. They don't even show a drop in the bucket here at all. At all. Half the time they never show earthquakes here in Australia. Over in southwestern or southeastern Australia, they usually have 1 or 2 minor earthquakes almost every day. Almost every day. This is insane. Insane. We go out here further to the east here. We talked about this earthquake in the Solomon Islands here. Further south in Vanuatu here. This is a 5.0 earthquake here in Vanuatu. Let's zoom in here. I want to show you where this earthquake is at. 5.0 earthquake here in Vanuatu. On land. On land this time, guys. 21 miles southeast of Wakatoro, Vanuatu. Wakatoro, Vanuatu. Interesting enough. Look where Wakatoro is right here. Yes, there are people that live here. There are people that live here. There's a good-sized city here. Further down here to the south. South of that earthquake here. There's another city here. A couple of them here. A couple of them here. Guys, when we have a large earthquake such as this, people here may have felt this earthquake going north or going south here. This is in the mountainous range of Vanuatu here. The mountainous range of Vanuatu here. Moampa, Vanuatu. 5.0 earthquake here. Now, if people felt this, they may have lost some part of their belongings. Large earthquakes cause large amount of damage. Large earthquakes cause a lot of damage. However, The further you are away from these large earthquakes, the less damage that these earthquakes occur on human beings or on their property. Okay, I'm just putting that out there for you. Okay, yes, we do get earthquakes that hit on land here in Vanuatu. Unfortunately, they happen too often, way too often. Okay, now let's open this back up here. Now we're going over to Fiji again. Fiji. This earthquake here is a 4.0 earthquake. 4.0 mod earthquake here in the ocean. This was 433 miles deep. 433 miles deep. I'm going to turn this into kilometers here so you understand what I'm saying. We have a lot of people from all over the world here. I want to turn this into kilometers here. Okay. This is 698 kilometers deep. This is a very deep earthquake. This is a very deep earthquake, guys. Now, I'm going to bring up our depth of magnitude conversion chart. Rebecca and our friend Dawn made this chart for all of us to find out how these earthquakes can affect us. Okay? Over on this third column here, near the bottom, we look at 690 here. This earthquake is 695 kilometers deep. Look over at 6 kilometers, 690 kilometers deep. This says we have to add 1.38 to the magnitude of this earthquake to find out what's going to happen within the next 3 to 10 days. We have to add a 1.3 to the magnitude of this quake. This is a 4.0 earthquake here. This is a 4.0 earthquake. So we add a 1.3 to this, we're going to get a 5.3 large earthquake that's going to happen as a result of this deep earthquake. A 5.3 shallow earthquake. Stronger shallow earthquake is going to occur somewhere in this region within the next 3 to 10 days. In the next 3 to 10 days. The last time we said that this was going to happen, a 6.0 earthquake occurred in Vanuatu here. 6.0 earthquake occurred here in Vanuatu. Okay? We forecasted the earthquake and we were right on the money. We forecast that earthquake and we were right on the money. Let's look at these other 2 earthquakes here. This is a 4.8 earthquake here. 558 kilometers deep. Also deep earthquake here. Let's go over here and look at the depth of magnitude conversion chart for 655 kilometers deep. We add a 1.31 to this earthquake here. 1.31, which means this earthquake being a 4.8, we add a 1.3 to this earthquake here, we're going to see a 6.1 very strong earthquake as a result of this 4.8. We're going to see a much stronger shallow earthquake as to the tune of 6.1 very strong earthquake to happen here in the next 3 to 10 days in this region. Vanuatu, Fiji, Tonga, Samoa, and possibly even New Zealand could feel the brunt of the earthquake, depending on where it hits. Or even the Solomon Islands. 6.1 earthquake is going to birth because of this earthquake here in the next 3 to 10 days. Then we go to this 4.6 earthquake here. This is 537 kilometers deep. Deep earthquake. This is over, they say this is 289 kilometers west-northwest of Humatonga. Humatonga here. Off the coast here in the water. Guys, let's back this up. Look where this earthquake hit. It's on the Fiji Trench here. This Fiji Trench runs all the way down here into New Zealand, into the North Island of New Zealand. Okay? Crazy, isn't it? Really is. 4.6 earthquake, 557 kilometers deep. Let's go back to the depth to magnitude convergence chart again. This time, let's go over to 557 or 555 here. We're going to add a 1.1 to the magnitude of this earthquake. We're going to add a 1.1 to the magnitude of this earthquake, which means this 4.6 earthquake is going to propagate a 5.7 earthquake, at least a 5.7 earthquake in the next 3 to 10 days, somewhere in the Southern Pacific region. So now we have 3 earthquakes that are going to propagate large earthquakes. One's going to propagate possibly at 5.3. Another's going to propagate at 5.8, Another's going to propagate at 6.1, very strong earthquake. This is going to propagate a mid-range 5 earthquake. A mid-range 5 earthquake. 5.7 earthquake. 5.7 earthquake is going to be propagated by this earthquake alone. Sometime in the next 3 to 10 days, we're going to see 3 very large, very strong earthquakes here in this region. It's going to happen. It will happen. I forecast this before, and it landed. For the south here in the Kermadec Islands, this time we have a 5.7 very large earthquake here. 5.7 earthquake here in the Kermadec Island region. Now, guys, the Kermadec Islands here are unoccupied islands except for birds. The Kermadec Islands are bird sanctuary. Nobody even lives in this area at all. The only time scientists can come in here to check on the birds is either by helicopter or by boat during high tide. Why? Because, guys, when we have birds in this area they want to check out, the Kermadec Islands are surrounded by volcanic reefs beneath it. Big, huge volcanic points coming out of the ocean here during low tide. They come over here in low tide, their boats will be jagged and drop off of the top of these volcanic ridges here and sink in the ocean. So they come here during high tide and leave during high tide, or they leave on helicopters to check on birds. Nobody felt this earthquake at all. 5.7 earthquake out here in the middle of the Kermadec Island region. Very large earthquake here. Mid-range 5.7 earthquake. Okay? Now there are plenty of earthquakes down here in New Zealand all over here. We have 2.0 to 3.9 earthquakes here in New Zealand. From the South Island of New Zealand to the North Island here. We have probably 26 earthquakes here in New Zealand by itself. 26 earthquakes. That's interesting. Now, for those of you who are new to this channel, I want to point something out here. Right here. See this body of water here? It's a lake. It's called Taupo Lake. Guess what, guys? Taupo Lake is a supervolcano here. Taupo Lake is a supervolcano. Yes, they have small, minor earthquakes around here, around Taupo Lake, to the north and to the southeast of Taupo Lake. Yes, they do get tremors here all the time. Yes, this is a burgeoning volcano. Burgeoning volcano. At one point in time, several years ago, scientists thought that Topo volcano would erupt. But all of a sudden, the earthquakes calmed down. They had like 150 tremors here in about 2 days. They thought Topo volcano was going to erupt. It did not. It has not since. Hasn't all. However, one volcano down here erupted over 7 years ago. Aveyah volcano right here erupted over 7 years ago. Was not a major eruption, it was a minor eruption, but it still erupted. For right now, it's very quiet. Very quiet. We have no reports of any earthquakes around Aveyah volcano at all. They may happen, but they're probably only tremors here. Now, while we're talking about volcanoes, all the volcanoes worldwide are recharging. All the volcanoes are recharging worldwide. Way down here in the South Pacific, there is a magma plume originating from the mantle of the earth here. This mantle plume takes magma from the mantle of the earth and distributes it to volcanoes around the world. To all of the volcanoes around the world, guys. That's what's happened. That's what's happened here. Okay? Down here in the South Pacific Ocean here. This is over in the South Sandwich Islands region, the South Atlantic. This is also 5.0 earthquake here. 10 kilometers deep, 6.2 miles deep here. South Sandwich Islands. Now, guys, the South Sandwich Islands are not occupied islands except by birds. It's also a bird sanctuary here. Yes, scientists come check on the birds occasionally. These islands are glaciated islands, covered in ice almost year-round. Almost year-round. This large earthquake here is going to travel through the Antarctic ridge down here to the south here. You see this the Antarctic ridge here? This 5.0 earthquake is going to travel south to the Antarctic ridge, then it's going to travel east over here to the South Atlantic, to the South Atlantic ridge here. South Atlantic ridge here. You see this earthquake fall here? Sometime in the next 4 to 5 days, I fully expect to see a large 5.0 earthquake here in the South Atlantic, in the mid-South Atlantic. It's going to happen. It's a matter of time. Matter of time. For kicks and giggles, I want to go over here to the U.S. British Virgin Islands. We have an earthquake swarm here. We have an earthquake swarm here. Now, guys, when we have earthquake swarms, that typically means we're going to have a large earthquake. Typically means we're going to have a large earthquake. However, look what happened here. This happened here, guys, yesterday. 5.0 earthquake here. 159 kilometers northwest of the valley of Anguilla and Leeward Islands here. This is northeast of U.S. British Virgin Islands here. This is also northwest of the valley of Anguilla here in Leeward Islands. In this case, all these earthquakes here are aftershocks. All these earthquakes here are aftershocks. This is 15 kilometers deep, very shallow earthquake. All the rest of these are also shallow earthquakes. This is a 3.4. This is a 3.94.0. Why did I say 3.94.0? Because USGS downgrades earthquakes to the nearest 0.9. I believe that's what they've done here. This earthquake is a 4.2 moderate earthquake here. This is a 4.2 moderate earthquake here. This is a 3.4 small earthquake. This is a 3.7 small earthquake. 4.0 moderate earthquake here. This is a 3.6. This is a 3.9 4.0. This happens to be 130 or 163 kilometers northeast of Cruz Bay, U.S. Virgin Islands, closer to the U.S. Virgin Islands here. Then we come over here to the southwest here. 3.4 earthquake here, 149 kilometers northwest of Cruz Bay, U.S. Virgin Islands. Going south here. This is 3.5, also 137 kilometers northeast of Cruz Bay. This is a 3.9 4.0, 133 kilometers northeast of Cruz Bay, U.S. Virgin Islands here. Out here in the Atlantic Ocean here. Further here to the west. This is a 3.1 earthquake here. 88 kilometers north of Charlotte Amalie, U.S. Virgin Islands here. 3.1 earthquake here. This is a 3.8 here. Small earthquake. This is a 3.3 earthquake here. This is a 3.4 earthquake here. Closer to the U.S. and U.S. and British Virgin Islands here. Right down here to the south. Okay? That's what's going on here. Now, guys, we have an earthquake here in northeastern Puerto Rico, south of San Juan, Puerto Rico here. 2.5 earthquake here. This is a normal earthquake. Normal earthquake. This earthquake here, however, is in southwestern Puerto Rico. This earthquake here is a 1.8 tremor. This is an aftershock of two earthquakes that hit here December 26, 2019 and December 28, 2019, when we had an 8.0 and 8.4 earthquake respectively. 8.0 hit on December 26th, the 8.4 hit here on December 28th. Man-made earthquakes, by the way. Man-made earthquakes. This is just a 1.6 tremor here. Aftershock of those two major earthquakes here back almost 7 years ago. A little over 6.5 years ago. Actually, a little less than 6.5 years ago. It was only the end of March. This is the last day of March, by the way. Okay? That's what's happened here. Okay? Now you see earthquakes here in Texas. These are all oil and gas fracking earthquakes. These are all oil and gas fracking earthquakes. Right here. For kicks and giggles, let's go over here to Georgia. Georgia here. Right up here in Georgia. That's too far. Right up here in north central Georgia. Right here. We had a 2.9 earthquake that hit here earlier today. They've taken it down. 2.9 earthquake up here near the border of South Carolina and Georgia. 2.9 earthquake. Where's it at? This earthquake is in the southern part of the Eastern Continental Divide. The southern part of the Eastern Continental Divide. That's why this earthquake hit. The Continental Divide has earthquakes all the time. Not just here on the East Coast, but all over on the West Coast as well. The Western Continental Divide has earthquakes as well. This earthquake here originated from the southern part of the Eastern Continental Divide. We talked about earthquakes here before. We're going to talk about earthquakes here probably on Thursday this week. Today, I want to go up here to the Pacific Northwest. I want to shoot earthquakes up here in the Pacific Northwest here. Now, guys, USGS does not show all the earthquakes here. They never do. This earthquake here, northeast of Seattle, Washington, 1.5 tremor here. They say it's 7 kilometers, approximately 3.5 miles north of May Creek, Washington. North of May Creek, Washington. That's fascinating. Fascinating. Up here to the north, we have Glacier Peak up here. Right here. Right up here. They don't talk about anything in Glacier Peak. We have earthquakes here at Mount Baker. I'm going to show you earthquakes here at Mount Baker tonight. They're not showing anything here at all. Not a thing. Not anything. It's interesting to note. They don't want to even identify earthquakes at Mount Rainier. Mount Rainier has been hit with earthquakes all day today. They don't show anything, do they? Because they don't want to identify earthquakes near a volcano. Near a volcano. However, look at this earthquake here. USGS is saying it's an explosion here. My buddy Demon Catman has put up a meme for me, and I'm going to show it here to you in a few minutes. Let's zoom in on this explosion here. Let's zoom in here on this explosion here. See where Lake Capistan is? This is just southeast of Lake Capistan. Supposed explosion here. It's a 1.5 tremor here, guys. It's a 1.5 tremor here. It's in the mountains here. It's in a forested area. 1.5 tremor here. They say it's an explosion. But did you know it's a half mile deep? This explosion is a half mile deep here. Can you say spontaneous combustus carnivorous? How about an exploding tree? Maybe a marmot set that here. They have marmot military movements here, don't they? Yeah. Marmot military movements here. Interesting to know. Why do I say this? Why do I say this, guys? Because, guys, a couple years ago, maybe upwards of 3 years ago, Glacier Peak, up here at Glacier Peak was supposed to be getting a slew of seismographs here. Glacier Peak was supposed to get a slew of seismographs here. They still have not gotten seismographs at all at Glacier Peak. Glacier Peak is being monitored by one seismograph at all. One seismograph. They were supposed to get at least 3 to 4 or 5 more. Why haven't they gotten them? Because environmentalists here in Washington decided, oh, we might disturb the marmot population on Glacier Peak. We might disturb the marmot population on Glacier Peak. Incredible. This is craziness, guys. This is total craziness. We have movements on Mount Rainier, yet we have what? 7 or 8 seismographs all over Mount Rainier. Glacier Peak could also erupt at any time. But they only have one seismograph reporting anything going on. Guess what? That seismograph at Glacier Peak is not reporting much of anything going on at all. Not even microquakes at all. Nothing. Because USGS and the Pacific Northwest Seismic Network don't want to report much of anything going on. Fascinating. Fascinating. It's the northwest of Mount Rainier, east of Cavison Lake. We have a 1.5 tremor half-mile deep. Not an explosion at all. Not an explosion at all. South of Mount Rainier, what do we have here? We have a 1.4 tremor here. 1.4 tremor here. What do we have here, guys? 1.4 tremor here. USGS is identifying this as 4 kilometers, 2 miles west-southwest of Packwood, Washington. A tremor here. 1.4 tremor. Yet they don't show anything going on here at Mount Rainier. In just a minute, I'm going to show you earthquakes here at Mount Rainier. I'm also going to show you earthquakes here at Mount St. Helens. USGS is only showing us 1 tremor here. A microquake here. Southwest of Mount St. Helens. A 0.6 microquake here. Guess what? Guess how deep it is? Just over 7 kilometers or 7 miles deep. 11.5 kilometers deep. 0.6 microquake. This just happens to be in the foothills of Mount St. Helens. The foothills of Mount St. Helens. There are dozens of microquakes. There are dozens of minor earthquakes. There's 1 or 2 3.0 earthquakes here at Mount St. Helens today. Again, USGS is not showing any of them at all. None. None at all. Over here at Mount Hood. Good old Mount Hood. This time USGS decided to show an earthquake here at Mount Hood. Fascinating here. Near the summit of Mount Hood here. Near the southern summit of Mount Hood. The 0.5 microquake here. 0.5 microquake here. USGS is identifying this as, I hate to even talk about this, guys. They say this is 3 miles northeast of Government Camp, Oregon. Government Camp, Oregon. Where's Government Camp? Right down here. Government Camp is right down here at the base of Mount Hood. Government Camp also has a seismograph here. It's called Timberline. Timberline here, guys. Yet USGS and the Pacific Northwest Seismic Network is identifying this as 3 miles northeast of Government Camp. This is directly north of Government Camp, directly north of Timberline. It's also just north of Palmer Lift. Palmer Lift right here, a ski resort on Mount Hood. I'm going to show you Palmer Lift has earthquakes here as well. Okay? Interesting note. That is the only earthquake they're showing here in Oregon. Insane. Down here to the south, the Southern Cascadia subduction zone. Right here. on the Gorda Escarpment. This is just west of the Triple Junction here, where the Gorda Escarpment joins the Cascadia subduction zone, runs all the way up the coast of Washington, California, Oregon, and Washington, all the way up the coast to Haida Gwaii, British Columbia. The Cascadia subduction zone earthquake fault. Also, what else is here? The Triple Junction hosts the San Andreas Fault as well. The San Andreas Fault runs south from here all the way through California, all the way down through southern Mexico, all the way down the coast of southern Mexico. San Andreas Fault. This earthquake is on the southern part of the Cascadia subduction zone here. This is a 2.7 earthquake here. 2.7 earthquake out here in the ocean. Nobody felt this earthquake hit at all. This is a minor tremor here, minor earthquake here. Nobody felt it at all. Okay? But again, they're showing nothing at all happening here in Oregon and Washington. That's a fallacy. It's a lie. It's an out-and-out lie. Okay? Now I'm going to take this map down. In just a minute, I'm going to show you all kinds of earthquakes here. All kinds of earthquakes all over the place, guys. And USGS not saying one word about it. Not saying even one word about it. This is insane, guys. Totally insane. Now, before I show you that earthquake, or the earthquakes in Washington, Oregon, right here, I told you about that earthquake here in Georgia, the foothills of the southern Eastern Continental Divide. Up here in the hills of the Eastern Continental Divide, that's where this earthquake hit. Interesting. Interesting. We're going to see more of these. We're going to see a lot more this week. Okay, let's go over to the Pacific Northwest now. Let's start here at Mount Baker. Good old Mount Baker, guys. Good old Mount Baker here. I'm going to reduce the size of this seismograph so you can see what I'm saying here. This is Mount Baker here. Then you see thicker lines here. You see thicker lines here at the top, thinner lines going down to the bottom. The thicker lines are magma coming into the magma chamber here at Mount Baker. Magma coming into the Mount Baker volcano here. The thinner lines show less magma coming into the volcano here. Now, let's go down here. We have an earthquake here. What's going on? What's going on here, guys? Earthquake out in Mount Baker. Fancy that. This earthquake happened about 6 a.m. this morning. Approximately 6:04 a.m. this morning. 2.4, 2.5 earthquake here. 6:04 a.m. this morning. USGS did not show that earthquake on the map, did it? They didn't show anything going on. Not a thing. Now, guys, I'm going to show you another seismograph here from Mount Baker. From Mount Baker. This time, this is the north side of Mount Baker. From the ski resort, Shuxon Ski Resort. North side of Mount Baker. What we're seeing here are these wavy lines here. These are called very low frequency waves here. Very low frequency waves are caused by magma coming into the magma chamber of the volcano. Any volcano. This volcano just happens to be Mount Baker. Mount Baker. Up here at the top, all you saw on the other seismogram was thicker lines here. Thicker lines. Then here on this seismogram, you see thinner lines here. That's interesting. They were a little wavier just above that earlier before that happened. Then they calmed down. Hardly anything going on. Then all of a sudden last night, at about midnight last night, these busy waves got even busier. These VOF waves caused by magma coming into the magma chamber got even busier. That means a great deal of magma came into the magma chamber of Mount Baker. Earthquakes happen when a great deal of magma comes into the magma chamber. Why? Because as magma comes into the magma chamber, it fractures the rock in the magma chamber, causing earth movement. Fractures the rock coming into the magma chamber because it's coming under pressure, and it's coming in a great deal of pressure here, and a lot of magma. Lots of magma under pressure. That causes these rocks to fracture inside the volcano. But it wasn't until later this morning. That the volcano magma got even busier. Look at this. But the seismogram only shows 1, 2.5, 2.6 earthquake. At the same time, this magma got really busy here. Guys, we should be seeing probably dozens of earthquakes here this morning. Dozens of earthquakes here this morning after even 4 or 5 o'clock this morning. But again, the Pacific Northwest Seismic Network doesn't want to show them to us. USGS doesn't want to show them to us. They don't put it on the map. But like I said, they're happening. They're happening, guys. And the agency doesn't want to show it on the map. They don't want to admit these volcanoes are recharging. They don't want to admit they're recharging now. Okay? Let's go over to Glacier Peak. I told you nothing much was happening. Look at this. Look at this. Not sure much of anything happening. Maybe some microquakes here. And guys, look at these vertical lines here. We have a volcano that has vertical lines here on the seismogram. If those vertical lines do not have a dot in the middle of them, that means this volcano was steaming. These vertical lines mean this volcano is steaming. None of these vertical lines indicate even a tremor or microquake at all. Except down here at the far right hand side and lower side of the seismogram. Let's look at this. This is at about 11:45 this morning. 11:45 this morning, it appears we have a 2.6, 2.7 earthquake here. Glacier Peak. USGS doesn't show it, do they? On this blue line on the far right, 6:45 this morning, Glacier Peak. Like I said, these earthquakes are here for a reason, showing that these volcanoes are recharging. All the volcanoes are recharging. USGS and the Pacific Northwest Seismic Network doesn't want anybody to know it. They don't want to show what's going on. Let's drop down to Mount Rainier now. Good old Mount Rainier. Look at this. This is Camp Muir on the north side of Mount Rainier. Camp Muir. This is the HHN seismogram. We see VLF waves here. VLF waves caused by magma coming into the magma chamber here. Look at the rest of this seismogram. The rest of this seismogram hardly shows any activity at all. They would have us believe nothing's going on here at Mount Rainier at all. A little more activity late this morning, early afternoon, that's all. Guess what? They are lying through their teeth. They're absolutely lying through their teeth. Let me show you another seismogram here at Mount Rainier. They don't want us to see this. Look at this. This is Emerald Ridge, the southwest side of Mount Rainier, Emerald Ridge. Look at all this activity here. See the thicker lines here? Again, these thicker lines indicate magma coming into the magma chamber here at Mount Rainier. It's called magma pulse signals. Magma pulse signals. The thicker the lines here, the more magma coming into the magma chamber. The thinner lines, less magma coming into the magma chamber. Okay? Look at these vertical lines here. Look at these vertical lines here. On the USGS map, they did not show any earthquakes at all. They didn't show any tremors. They didn't show any microquakes. They didn't show any minor earthquakes or anything. What are we showing here at Emerald Ridge? Last night, 2200 hours on the left-hand side, we reach 10 p.m. Over here on the right, we're seeing some earthquakes here. These vertical lines are earthquakes. Earthquake skies. 2.5, 2.6 earthquakes, and lots of tremors. Lots of tremors here. But do you think USGS would show them on the map? Heck no. They don't want to acknowledge that anything's going on here at Mount Rainier. Ever. They don't want anybody to know what's going on here at Mount Rainier. Ever. I've got one other here about Mount Rainier you're going to want to see here. This is also Emerald Ridge here. Mount Rainier, Emerald Ridge. This is the HHN channel. Again, this shows magma coming into the magma chamber at Mount Rainier all day long. Look at the top. That was last night. 5 p.m. last night. Very busy magma coming into the magma chamber here. They did show some earthquakes happening here last night, but not until 10 p.m. That's a fallacy, guys. There have been earthquakes all day long and all night long at Mount Rainier last night and this morning, and even late this afternoon. We'll go over this activity this afternoon. They would have us believe nothing's going on. The seismogram says otherwise. The seismogram says otherwise here, guys. They can say nothing's going on, but guess what? We have evidence that it is happening. It is happening. Now let's go over to the west side of Mount Rainier. West side of Mount Rainier. This is St. Andrew's Rock. St. Andrew's Rock here. I'm going to make this a little bit smaller here. I want you to see this entire seismogram here. Up at the top, on the left-hand side, this is 5 p.m. yesterday evening. For about 6 hours, 5 or 6 hours last night, we had harmonic tremors here shaking the mountain. Harmonic vibrations shaking Mount Rainier on the west side of the mountain. Then what happened? Look here after midnight. The harmonic tremors broke up here. The harmonic tremors broke up. Now we start seeing earthquakes here at Mount Rainier. The harmonic tremors broke up and we started seeing good sized 3.0 earthquakes hitting the west side of Mount Rainier. They can deny it all they want. They can say there are no tremors, no microquakes, no nothing. There are earthquakes. 2.0 to 3.4, 3.5 earthquakes hitting here at Mount Rainier. Then this afternoon, late morning, early afternoon, it settles down and we get nothing but harmonic tremors again here. Unreal, guys. Uncaught and picking real. Mount Rainier is shaking, irregardless of what USGS would have us believe. Mount Rainier is shaking. Let's go south to Mount St. Helens. Good old Mount St. Helens. Let's look at the East Dome, Mount St. Helens. The top of Mount St. Helens, the summit. Look what we show here. This is the HHZ channel, the main channel here at East Dome, Mount St. Helens. Guys, again, we have these thicker lines here, don't we? Thicker lines show more magma coming into the magma chamber, don't they? The thinner lines, less magma coming into the magma chamber. And look here, on each of these lines here, we have tiny vertical lines here, meaning we're having microquakes, tremors here at Mount Rainier, or Mount St. Helens, I'm sorry, Mount St. Helens. Yet they said no earthquakes of any kind have hit here at Mount St. Helens. I tend to differ with that. I tend to differ. Look what happens late this morning, early afternoon. Even had harmonic tremors building up here. Harmonic tremors up here at the dome of Mount St. Helens. At the summit of Mount St. Helens here. We're also seeing tremors here in here. Tremors hitting here at East Dome, Mount St. Helens. Now there's a couple more seismograms I want to show you here at Mount St. Helens. Because Mount St. Helens is moving. Mount St. Helens is moving. Don't let USGS tell us anything otherwise. USGS is lying to you. They're lying to the public. Mount St. Helens is having earthquakes here. Look at the top of this seismogram here. This also is a seismograph that's sitting on the top of Mount St. Helens. It's called the spider. The spider. September lobe. Look what's happening here. Look what's happening here. On this blue line. Blue line is 10:30 on the left-hand side over here. This would be about 10:40 p.m. last night. 2.7, 2.8 earthquake here. Okay. We just had an earthquake in the U.S. Virgin Islands 14 minutes ago. It was a 4.3 moderate earthquake in the U.S. Virgin Islands 14 minutes ago. Okay. Just after 10, I want to say about 10, 11, 10, 12 last night at Mount St. Helens. On the black line to the right of that moderate or minor earthquake, it was at 10:40. This earthquake occurred at 10:11, 10:12 last night. This was a 1.7, 1.8 tremor here. Look at the other tremors and minor earthquakes here. Down at the bottom here. Down at the bottom here, last night. Last night after midnight. After midnight. On the black line, this would be approximately 12:10 p.m. 12:10 a.m. last night. 2.2 earthquake. 2.2 earthquake. USGS said nothing happened. Look at the other tremors here as well. Again, yes, just because USGS says there's nothing going on doesn't mean it's true. They're just not telling us about it. Mount St. Helens is moving. Let's look at the VLF wave channel. This is September lobe BDF CC01 channel. This is the VLF wave channel here at Mount St. Helens. Look at this. They hardly show anything going on. Hardly showing anything going, but there are earthquakes in here at Mount St. Helens. Very little magma movement. Then there's increased magma movement later on this morning and early afternoon. Look at that. But this afternoon, they're not showing us anything going on here at Mount Rainier on the other side of the graph. Again, USGS and PNSN are erasing the earthquakes. When you have this kind of movement at the volcano like this, magma coming into the volcanic chamber, the magma coming into the volcanic chamber is fraction earthquake, fraction rock inside the volcano causing earthquakes. And USGS is deciding they're not going to show it to us. They're deciding we don't deserve to see it. Heaven forbid. Let's drop down south to Mount Hood. Mount Hood, guys. Look at this. This is Hood Meadows, just south of Mount Hood. Harmonic tremors again. The ground is vibrating here, guys. Harmonic tremors are vibrating Mount Hood. Interesting. Let's look at Timberline. The lower end of Mount Hood on the south side of Mount Hood. Look what's going on here, guys. Let's take a look at this last night. Last night here. In this particular case, this is after 8:15 on the red line here. About 8:20, I want to say 8:25 last night. Earthquakes. Actually, about 8, not even 18:25. This is 8:20 p.m. last night. Tremors. At 8:40, which is 2040 on this blue line here. These are also tremors. In this case, you see what we term as a magma blob here. A magma blob. A large amount of magma comes into the magma chamber here, causing tremors here. Causing tremors. Then we go out throughout the night here. At midnight, you see a thinner line here, less magma coming in the magma chamber. Then the lines get thicker. More magma coming in the magma chamber, and all of a sudden we see some minor tremors here. Minor tremors going on. Then what happens here this morning? This morning after 7 a.m. this morning. Large amounts of magma coming into the magma chamber here again, causing rock fraction inside the volcanic chamber, causing earth movement, rock fracturing earth movement here. Earthquakes, guys. Some of these earthquakes are 2.0, 2.7, and 2.8 earthquakes here. Look at the black line here. Look at the black line here after 10:20 a.m. this morning. 2.0, 2.2 earthquakes happening here. Minor earthquakes. This morning here. This morning here at Mount Hood. What happens here after 1 o'clock this afternoon? 1 o'clock this afternoon, guys. Approximately 1:04, 1:05 this afternoon. 2.3, 2.4 earthquake here. And tremors before that. So yes, guys, Mount Hood is shaking. Mount Hood is shaking. Regardless of what USGS would say, or PNS and as to say, Mount Hood is shaking here at Timberline, government camp. I've got another one here. Again, government camp. Timberline here. Look at this. This is the BHN channel. This is supposed to see the VLF waves here, which they're not showing us here. But they are showing us the tremors here. They're showing us the minor earthquake here as well. Timberline is moving. Timberline is moving. Unreal, guys. Unreal. We talked about Palmer Lift here. Palmer Lift. This is that ski resort halfway up the south side of Mount Hood. Seismic is there. Here you've seen these thin lines still showing some magma coming into the magma chamber here at Palmer Lift. And yet we're only seeing minor tremors here. We're only seeing minor tremors here at Palmer Lift. Nothing more. Interesting. That means they are erasing earthquakes here at Mount Hood. If we have minor earthquakes at Timberline, we should be seeing minor tremors and earthquakes here. Yes, we're seeing tremors here, but we're not seeing minor earthquakes. We should be. They're not showing these earthquakes. They are erasing earthquakes before they're showing them here. They don't want to admit what's going on here, which is very sad. Very sad state of affairs. Earthquakes are hitting all over Oregon and Washington. Earthquakes. Earthquakes. Now, I want to show Edison Elementary School in Bow, Washington. Look what's happening here. Look what's happening here. Tremors hitting here. Bow, Washington. And down here late this morning, you see thicker lines here. This is magma beneath the surface headed towards the volcano. This is magma headed towards the volcano here, just beneath the surface of Washington here. Okay? There are earthquakes happening here, and evidence of magma going to the volcanoes here, all over here. Okay? Let's go to Falls City, Oregon. Falls City, Oregon here. Look at this. Late last night, all we see here are tremors. That's it. Then after midnight, we see more tremors here. Earlier this morning, we start seeing evidence of magma. The lines are very thin here. They get thicker, don't they? That means magma is headed towards the volcanoes over here in Oregon. Magma down beneath the surface of the earth that we walk on. Then, what happened here this afternoon? What happened here this afternoon, guys? Can you say earthquakes? Earthquakes here this afternoon? After, on this red line here, this is after 1:40 this afternoon. 1:43 this afternoon. 2.3, 2.4 earthquakes here. 2.3, 2.4 earthquakes here, and we see a thicker line here, don't we? That means magma caused these earthquakes. Falls City, Washington. The magma beneath the ground caused these earthquakes, minor earthquakes here. Falls City, Washington. Oregon, I'm sorry, Falls City, Oregon. Now, I'm going to show you one more place. One more place. This time, Kelso, Washington. Kelso, Washington. Look what's happening here, guys. See these magma blobs here? Magma coming into the volcano. Underneath the ground here. A good distance from the volcano here. Magma headed for the ground, for the volcano. Underneath the ground, we're walking on here in Kelso, Washington. Guess what? Kelso, Washington is where the airport is. These are minor tremors here with magma going underneath the ground, headed for the volcanoes here. Didn't stop. The magma continued all morning and even into the afternoon, this time causing another minor earthquake. Causing another minor earthquake here late this morning. This minor earthquake was at approximately 11:25 this morning. 2.5, 2.6 earthquake at 11:25 this morning. USGS didn't show that, did they? Heaven forbid. They don't want to show us what's going on. Earthquakes are happening in Oregon and Washington as we speak. Earthquakes are also happening off the coast. USGS still does not want to identify what those earthquakes are at, or where they're at, what they're doing. They're happening. They're happening all over the place. Now, guys, this is Holy Week. Holy Week. On Sunday, we observe Palm Sunday, Christ's triumphal entry into Jerusalem. Yesterday was still Holy Week, where Christ went into Jerusalem. Let's talk about this. Holy Week is the most sacred time in Christianity history. Commemorates the final days of Jesus Christ's life on this earth, starting with his triumphal entry into Jerusalem on Palm Sunday, culminating his crucifixion on Good Friday, and resurrection on Easter Sunday. It's a journey from popular acclaim through betrayal, suffering, and even death to victory over the grave. This week, I'm going to give you an overview of Holy Week. Palm Sunday, again, triumphal entry into Jerusalem. Christ, I told you this on Sunday during my Sunday school class. Christ enters Jerusalem on a donkey, symbolizing humility, while crowds greet him with palm branches on the ground and waving palm branches in the air, shouting, Hosanna, Hosanna, meaning peace to our King. Peace to us through our King. Yesterday, when I was sick, wasn't feeling good, it was Holy Monday. The cleansing of the temple happened on Holy Monday. The law at the time of Christ required all men to go to the temple to pay their temple tax, which is equivalent to 1 shekel of silver, 1 coin of silver, a shekel of silver. So the men of Israel returned to the temple to pay the temple tax. The money changers had set up outside the temple itself to change money into silver, to go into the temple to pay the priests their taxes. Jesus entered the temple courts and found them noisy, crowded, and commercialized. Animals were bleeding within the holy pens, lambs to the slaughter, lambs waiting to be slaughtered and sacrificed inside the temple. Later, those animals would be given to the priest as sacrifice. Merchants shouted at one another. Now, sacred space felt more like a marketplace. Jerusalem at this Passover time was filled with Jewish pilgrims arriving from around the Roman world. It was very crowded. This is because the Jews were commanded in Deuteronomy chapter 16, verse 16, that 3 times during a year they shall go and appear before the Lord. The male should appear before the Lord in a place he shall choose in the Feast of Unleavened Bread, which coincides with Passover, and in the Feast of Weeks and the Feast of Tabernacles. They shall not appear before the Lord empty. According to the historian Josephus, there could have been 2.5 to 3 million people gathered in Jerusalem for that week. 2.5 million to 3 million people gathered in Jerusalem that week. That's incredible at that time period in history. Modern scholars now put the number lower to perhaps hundreds of people in Jerusalem, but Jerusalem was packed. And the Jews were there to commemorate their physical deliverance from slavery in Egypt. But as the holy celebrations often go over the years, they become commercialized, and the traditions take on a life of their own, rather detached from the holidays originally intended meaning. For example, just ask Santa Claus or the Easter Bunny. So then the holy day becomes just a holiday.
Santa Cruz Islands region, class, moderate, magnitude, 5.2, depth, 400.8 miles, 8 minutes ago.
4.8 earthquake in Solomon Islands. Holy day becomes just a holiday, the perfect opportunity to profit. It appears that the priestly class at the temple in Jerusalem had recognized the lucrative opening. In Exodus chapter 30, verses 12 through 16, each Jewish man was commanded to pay an annual temple tax. When thou takest the sum of the children of Israel after their number, then shall they give every man a ransom for his soul unto the Lord. This what every one among those who are numbered shall give half a shekel, according to the shekel of the sanctuary. A shekel is 20 gerahs, G-A-R-A-S, 20 gerahs. A half shekel should be an offering to the Lord. Everyone, including among those who are numbered from 20 years and old and above, shall give an offering to the Lord. The rich shall not give more, the poor shall not give less than half a shekel. When you give an offering to the Lord to make atonement for yourselves, you take the atonement money of the children of Israel and shall appoint it for the service of the tabernacle meeting, that it may be a memorial for the children of Israel before the Lord to make atonement for yourselves. So this offering, laid out in Exodus, came to be known as the tribute or the temple tax. So it was also called, you might be noted in the verse, the ransom. The ransom. So this tribute, this ransom, was paid to help support the ongoing operations of the temple, the day-to-day operations of the temple. This is not unlike our tithes and offerings today that go to help support the construction and building of chapels and temples throughout the world. But there was some debate among different groups of Jews. The Essenes said this was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. You only need to do it once and that's it. The Pharisees and Sadducees had major disagreements over how the funds were to be used. Interesting. Lawyers and judges of the time had arguments and debates over how these funds were to be used or who should pay them as well. But guess what? Jesus acknowledged his tribute. Jesus acknowledged his tribute. Interesting to note. In Matthew chapter 17, verses 24 through 27, this tells the story of Jesus telling Peter how to pay this tribute. It reads, "And when they were come to Capernaum, they that received tribute money came to Peter," that's those who collected temple tax, "and said, quote, Does not your master pay the tribute? He saith, Yes. And when he was come into the house, Jesus prevented him, saying, Who thinkest thou, Simon? Of whom do the kings of the earth take custom or tribute? Of their own children, or of strangers? Peter saith unto him, Of strangers. Jesus said unto him, Then are the children free. Jesus Christ questioned him, Are the children free? Notwithstanding, lest we should offend them, go thou out and go up to the sea, and cast a hook, and take up the fish that first come up. And when thou hast opened his mouth, thou shalt find a piece of money, that take and give unto them for me and thee. So Jesus was willing to pay this temple tax, but there was a catch to the temple tax. It had to be paid in Tyre or Tyre silver. Tyre silver. The silver was minted in Tyre. You know the cities of Tyre and Sidon? They were known to have the highest purity levels of silver. Those coins were also stamped with the image of the pagan god Melkart. But these weren't just the coins that people generally used on a daily basis. So they changed their coinage into the temple tax in silver. So you had to change your coinage to the temple silver. Enter the money changers. For a small fee, they would be there to help you out. They would kindly take your local Roman coinage in return for shiny Tyre silver coins, then pocket your extra denarii, plus 16.5% commission to be precise. Yes, 16.5% commission. It went to the coin changers, the money changers. Then and only then could you be on your way. The temple priest would be assured of having received the correct weight of silver. Her conscience could rest easy knowing your debt had been paid. All good, right? Well, there was another catch. It was Passover. So you needed to bring a sacrificial lamb, not just any lamb. It had to be an unblemished lamb, a male lamb. It was less than a year old. Let's look at Exodus chapter 12, verse 3. Then we'll look at verse 5 and 7. It reads, Speak you unto the congregation of Israel, saying, On the 10th day of this month, they shall take to them every man a lamb according to the house of their fathers. A lamb for a house. Every house. Lamb for a house. Verse 5 says, Your lamb shall be without blemish, a male of the first year. A male of the first year, guys. Ye shall take it from the sheep or from the goats, and ye shall keep it until the 14th day of the same month. And the whole assembly of the congregation of Israel shall kill it in the evening. So just imagine you're among all those pilgrims coming into Jerusalem for the Passover. You probably haven't brought your own lamb, much less an unblemished perfect lamb, as in accordance with the instruction in Exodus. Moreover, there were also urban families who did not raise livestock or have even lambs available. Yet the lambs had to meet the ritual requirements. So what to do? Aha! We can sell conveniently right there in the temple. Pre-inspected, priest approved, certified grade A lamb, unblemished lamb, for a modest markup, of course. So again, these Jewish people were being bought out. So it was under the context that Jesus entered the temple complex in Jerusalem. He just had cursed unfruitful fig tree. Now it comes into the marketplace that has sprung up in the temple. He cleared out the money changers of the temple and all those others who were desecrating the temple. Why? Because he said they were desecrating him as well. He being the Lord of the temple. He was Lord of the temple. This is Holy Tuesday. Today, Jesus teaches in the temple, challenging the religious leaders' authority and answering questions regarding taxes and the resurrection. Yes, the resurrection. Again, we've told you that Jesus Christ knew his mission on this earth well ahead of time before he even got persecuted, before he even got to the Garden of Gethsemane. Today he taught in the temple and taught the religious leaders there and answered questions regarding taxes and the resurrection. Tomorrow we're going to talk about Holy Wednesday. Holy Wednesday, where Judas Iscariot conspires with the Sanhedrin to betray Jesus Christ for 30 pieces of silver. 30 pieces of silver. Incredible. Incredible, guys. Now I come back to this scene I put before you when I started talking about this. When my friend Richard Paul Evans, who's an author, wrote a lot of books, he wrote this poem about Jesus Christ being in Gethsemane. Oh Lord, if I could just borrow one breath from the night you walked into the garden, alone, not to ask for miracles, not to beg for proof, but to feel what it was like to be enough. Just enough, without the weight of tomorrow's promises. And if you'd answer, I'd probably cry. Not because it hurt, but because I finally stopped pretending. I knew how to carry it all. So keep the stars, keep the thunder. Just let me sit here in the dark and believe you're still listening. Brothers and sisters, it's time for us to realize who we are and who we represent. Brothers and sisters, I encourage you to go to your scriptures this week, especially this week. Read for yourself about what the Savior said. Read for yourself what the Savior said. Then acknowledge it. Acknowledge it. Find for yourself a testimony of Jesus Christ. Find for yourself a testimony of Jesus Christ. I testify that Jesus Christ lives. Jesus Christ hears and answers our prayers. I testify that. And I testify that you can find that out for yourselves by going to the scriptures and finding out what his mission here on this earth is. And praying that he may give you an answer to your prayers. That he is in all effect our Savior Jesus Christ, the Son of God, our Savior and our Redeemer. Brothers and sisters, I testify to you that he lives. He lives who once was dead. He lives our everlasting head. May God be with you this day and always. May God be with you until we meet again. We'll be back here about 4 p.m. tomorrow evening with more earthquakes and information about earthquakes and everything else going on around our world on Emergency Management Associates tomorrow. At the bottom of your screen, you're seeing PayPal locations. If you feel up to it and can, please give us a donation to our PayPal here. You'll also see our mailing address, 504 Bethel Road, Box 401. Morganton, North Carolina, the zip code here is 28655. You can send us cards and letters there and also send us a donation inside your cards and letters. Now, Danish Girl sent us a donation in the middle of one of her cards. She sent me an Easter card, which we greatly appreciate. I want to thank Danish Girl for that. God bless you, Danish Girl, for your generous donation. Thank you very much for helping support this channel. I urge all of you to help us all support this channel, keep this channel in the air. God be with you until we meet again. We'll see you tomorrow evening. Same time, same station. See you tomorrow evening, guys. God be with you until we meet again. See you then. Have a good night. Take care, everybody. Be safe out there. Be safe out there. Enjoy.
Emergency Management Associates, we're dedicated and true, bringing you the essential knowledge, helping you see things through. From disaster preparedness to navigating recovery's embrace, we're here to guide you in every unpredictable time and place. Complex, make it easy to grasp and absorb, sharing strategies for safety, the vital lessons you can't afford to hoard. So thank you for watching, and thank you so much for your sub. You're a key part of our growing family, a member of our knowledge club. With every like, every share, and every comment you send our way, our critical message spreads further, helping more people every single day. Together we're stronger and more prepared. That's the truth we all abide. You help us build truly inspires us. Your feedback acts as a guiding light, helping us continually grow and making our channel's future bright.